Good morning, students. Welcome back. So, the series which we are discussing, which we are witnessing, it is medieval India. In this series, yesterday we had discussed about a very great personality, that is Sher Shah Suri. And today also we are going to witness another great personality. ये पर्सनैलिटी आज जो हम देखने जा रहे हैं वो ऐसी है कि जिसने इंडिया में और एक पावरफुल एम्पायर का फाउंडेशन किया था. सो एज वी वर डिस्कसिंग दैट फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द मेडिवल इंडिया का जो फर्स्ट हाफ था उसको दिल्ली सल्तनत ने कवर किया था, या उस फर्स्ट हाफ की हिस्ट्री दिल्ली सल्तनत की हिस्ट्री होती है. सिमिलरली yesterday also, as I mentioned, the second half of our medieval India or medieval Indian history is covered by or occupied by the Mughal Empire, the great Mughal Empire as it is known. And the foundation of this great Mughal Empire, as you can see, was led by another great person, just like Sher Shah Suri. He was also a great person, and his name is Babar. Famously, he is called as a Babar, the very founder of Mughal Empire. And the Babar, basically, his original name is Zahiruddin Muhammad. Okay? बाबर का जो असली नाम जो है वो जहीरुद्दीन मोहम्मद है, लेकिन वो उनके टाइटल बाबर से ही फेमस हो गए पूरे इंडिया में भी और पूरी दुनिया में भी. और जैसे हम अभी देख रहे हैं कि बाबर मुगल एम्पायर के फाउंडर ज़रूर है, बट हमें पहले ध्यान में क्या रखना है कि ओरिजिनली बाबर इंडिया से नहीं थे. बाबर जो आज का उज़्बेकिस्तान है, ठीक, आज जो उज़्बेकिस्तान नाम का जो कंट्री है जो आपका सेंट्रल एशिया में आता है, जैसे आप अफगानिस्तान के नॉर्थ में जाओगे तो आपको मिलेगा उज़्बेकिस्तान. तो उस उज़्बेकिस्तान और उस उज़्बेकिस्तान में एक एरिया है, रीजन है फरगाना. जैसे हमारे इंडिया में अगर हम बोल सकते कि बंगाल है एक रीजन है या स्टेट है, वैसे उज़्बेकिस्तान में एक रीजन है फरगाना. तो उस फरगाना नाम के रीजन में बेसिकली बाबर का जन्म हुआ था. बाबर बेसिकली वाज बोर्न एट फरगाना in Uzbekistan, and then at a very young age, in 1494, at a very young age, and his age varies from 12 to 14. According to some estimates, he was 12-year-old. According to some estimates, he was 14-year-old. But whatever may be the age, definitely at a very teenage stage, Babar became the ruler as far as the प्रिंसिपलिटी ऑफ फरगाना वाज कंसर्न. जो फरगाना का छोटा किंगडम था जिसको पहले बाबर के फादर रूल कर रहे थे, उमर शेख मिर्ज़ा. बाबर के फादर का नाम क्या है? उमर शेख मिर्ज़ा. तो बाबर बहुत छोटे थे, मतलब भाई ये 12 से 14 साल के थे उस समय उनके फादर की डेथ हो गई थी. और फिर 1494 में बाबर बेसिकली फरगाना के रूलर बने थे. 1494 में क्या है, बाबर फरगाना के रूलर बने थे. और बाबर जब रूलर बने तो डेफिनेटली हम देखेंगे कि बाबर के लिए चीज़ें आसान नहीं होने वाली थी. ये बहुत ही छोटी उम्र के थे. जाहिर सी बात थी कि उनके जो कजिन्स वगैरह थे एंड बाकी रिलेटिव्स जो है वो बेसिकली बाबर को उस थ्रोन से निकाल के खुद वो थ्रोन हथियाना चाहते थे. द कजिन्स एंड अदर रिलेशंस ऑफ द बाबर, they wanted to throw away Babar from the throne. They wanted to dethrone the Babar, and then they wanted to have the state to the throne among themselves. So this was the case. And if you see the Babar's ancestry, then we will find Babar was a descendant of Amir Temur on his father's side. Okay? On his father's side, Babar was a descendant of Amir Temur. Okay? Very Amir Temur who at one stage had invaded India. And definitely Amir Temur's name was not taken positively in India because he had committed atrocities, violence. Okay? He had looted India, especially Delhi. So the memories of Amir Temur, even though Babar came almost 250 years after Amir Temur, still that memories were very strong in the minds of Indians. and the generation of the Indians. So Babar basically belonged to Amir Temur's side with regards to his paternal ancestry. If you come to his maternal ancestry, अगर मदर के साइड से अगर बात करते हैं तो बाबर और एक ग्रेट जो हमारे वॉरियर थे वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में अगर देखते हैं, या कॉन्करर थे या इन्वेडर थे, जिनका नाम चंगेज़ खान, यह नाम आपने बहुत पहले से ही सुना होगा, ठीक, बचपन से ये नाम सुनते हैं सब लोग। चंगेज़ खान जो है उनसे भी बाबर रिलेटेड थे अपनी मदर के साइड से। सो फ्रॉम मैटरनल साइड बाबर वॉज रिलेटेड विथ चंगेज़ खान, द ग्रेट चंगेज़ खान, who at one stage, even before Amir Temur, Genghis Khan had conquered the whole of Europe and Asia except India. इंडिया को वो कॉन्कर नहीं कर पाए थे, बाकी ये सारा यूरोप और एशिया ने कॉन्कर किया था चंगेज़ खान ने। एंड चंगेज़ खान कौन थे? चंगेज़ खान मंगोल थे। अगर बात करें रेस की तो चंगेज़ खान वॉज अ मंगोल, ओके। एंड इफ यू टेक द रेस ऑफ आमिर तैमूर, देन तैमूर वॉज अ टर्क। तैमूर बिलोंग टू टर्किश रेस, ठीक, and Genghis Khan belonged to Mongol race. And in fact, when we say Mughals, so why the Mughals are called as the Mughals? Because right from Babar, who is the founder of the Mughal Empire, he took the name of his mother's side. The matrilineal dominance was visible among the Mughals, okay? Except for throne and the succession to the throne, you will see matrilineal dominance was very, very visible among the Mughals. And that's why, since Genghis Khan belonged to, we can say, the Mongol race, so the corrupt form of Mongol became Mughal. The corrupt form of Mongol became Mughal, and the another variation of the Mughal became Mughal. Another variation of Mughal became the Mughal. This point we have to keep in mind, okay? But the point is that despite the fact that the Mughal Empire basically is known due to the racial ancestry of Genghis Khan, that is a Mongol race, still the Babar and all Mughal emperors, they used to take a pride in their father's or paternal ancestry. Babar and all his descendants, they used to take a pride in their father's or paternal ancestry. So since Amir Temur, he was a Turk, so they used to refer their own dynasty as a Timuride dynasty. Even though it is also called as Mughal dynasty, but from perspective of a throne and the political affairs, the Mughal dynasty was always referred to as a Timuride dynasty. And all Mughal emperors, especially the great Mughal emperors, they used to take the pride in the house of Timuride. This point we have to keep in mind. So इसका मतलब क्या है? ये सारा जो ओवरव्यू में दे रहा हूँ, इसका मतलब यह है कि मुगल एम्पायर में हम देखेंगे कि मैट्रीलिनियल डोमिनेंस जरूर था, लेकिन वो पैट्रिआर्कियल फ्रेमवर्क के अंडर था, ओके। द मैट्रीलिनियल डोमिनेंस वाज देयर, बट इट वाज इन द फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ और अंडर द फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ पैट्रिआर्कियल फ्रेमवर्क, ठीक है। वो फ्रेमवर्क पैट्रिआर्कियल आपको मिलेगा। So, as we are discussing about the very background and rise of a Babar, so we will see that since Babar was always threatened by his cousins, and Babar was a very teenage boy, 12 से 14 साल का बच्चा था वो, so जाहिर सी बात है, the cousins who were more experienced, the cousins and the relations who had more resources, they consistently troubled the Babar, and despite the fact बाबर फॉट विद देम ब्रेवली, इतनी छोटी सी उम्र में जब हम लोग क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, ठीक, उस समय बाबर हाथ में तलवार लेके अपने कजिन्स के साथ फाइट कर रहे थे, बट अल्टीमेटली बाबर्स रिलेशंस दे ओवरकेम हिम, एंड दैट्स व्हाई बाबर लॉस्ट हिज एंसेस्ट्रल होमलैंड, दैट्स व्हाई बाबर लॉस्ट हिज किंगडम एंड हिज एंसेस्ट्रल होमलैंड. सो दिस मेड बाबर टू लुक टुवर्ड्स इंडिया. फिर बाबर को उसके पास ज़्यादा कुछ ऑप्शन नहीं था, तो अभी उसको ध्यान में देना था कि इंडिया के ऊपर वो कैसे फोकस कर सकता है. कहीं ना कहीं तो उसको अपना सिक्का जमाना था. समवेयर ही हैड टू एस्टैब्लिश हिमसेल्फ. सो नाउ ही डिसाइडेड दैट फर्स्ट ही विल कम इन अफगानिस्तान, एंड ही ट्राइड टू कॉन्कर काबुल between 1504 to 1524. Babar basically, he was having the control of Kabul. Okay, and when he was having the control of Kabul, then we will see in India something different was happening. In India, something different was happening. As we discussed, Delhi Sultanate was witnessing its own end. Delhi Sultanate was about to end now, and at this point of view, or at this point of time, okay, the last dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate, known as Lodhi dynasty, अभी क्या है 1517 से लेके 1526 के आसपास लोधी डायनेस्टी जो है, जो दिल्ली सल्तनत की लास्ट डायनेस्टी थी, उसके एक सुल्तान इंडिया में रूल कर रहे थे. उसके एक सुल्तान इंडिया में रूल कर रहे थे. उनका नाम था इब्राहिम लोधी. उनका नाम क्या था? इब्राहिम लोधी. एंड इब्राहिम लोधी बेसिकली जो है, ही वॉज वेरी यंग सुल्तान. बाबर से बड़े थे, लेकिन फिर भी वो भी 23 साल के ही थे, ज़्यादा उम्र नहीं थी. एंड ही वॉज ऑल्सो लैकिंग इन एक्सपीरियंस. Ibrahim Lodi, he was also lacking in experience. And Ibrahim Lodi had a problem. He was short-tempered and he would not respect his seniors, okay? Both within military and civilian offices. He failed to respect his senior nobles. So, at that time when Babar was in Afghanistan, as a part of Delhi Sultanate, Punjab was a part of Delhi Sultanate, and Punjab was one of the provinces. So in Punjab, especially at Lahore, there was one powerful noble of Ibrahim Lodi, who was posted as a governor, and his name was Daulat Khan Lodi. His name was Daulat Khan Lodi. उनका नाम क्या था? दौलत खान लोधी. And in fact, Daulat Khan Lodi, he was maternal. He is supposed to be the maternal uncle of Ibrahim Lodi. But still, Ibrahim Lodi had disrespected Daulat Khan Lodi. Still, Ibrahim Lodi had disrespected Daulat Khan Lodi. And that's why Daulat Khan Lodi, he was discontented, or he was having some kind of grudge against Ibrahim Lodi. And out of this grudge and a personal rivalry, Daulat Khan Lodi now invited Babar to invade India. दौलत खान लोधी ने क्या बोला? आप आइए और इंडिया के ऊपर अटैक करिए. यहाँ जो सुल्तान है वो सही नहीं है, आप उसको हरा के इंडिया को कॉन्कर कर सकते हैं. ठीक. और फिर बाबर ने कंटिन्यूसली इंडिया के ऊपर अटैक करना शुरू किया. Then Babar basically between 1519 to 1523, he started attacking India. And then you will see, after his consistent attacks on India, Babar got the idea about India and the Indian powers. Okay? And then Babar decided to finally take over the Sultan Ibrahim Lodi, okay? The last Sultan of Lodi dynasty, and also the last Sultan of Delhi Sultanate. And then we will see, on a fateful day of April 21st, 1526, okay? 21 April 1526, on this fateful day, Babar defeated Ibrahim Lodi in a first battle of Panipat. Okay? In a first battle of Panipat, Babar defeated Ibrahim Lodi. And then quickly he occupied Delhi, the capital of Delhi Sultanate, or Ibrahim Lodi. Okay? So actually Ibrahim Lodi, he used to rule from Agra. Agra was capital of the Lodi dynasty. But still, Delhi was also very important. Delhi was also serving as an alternate capital. So Delhi was occupied by the Babar. And here we will see, Ibrahim Lodi was supposedly having 1 lakh soldiers. And his army was supposed to be superior. इब्राहिम लोदी की जो आर्मी है वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा सुपीरियर थी, ऐसा माना जाता है. ठीक. एंड बाबर हैड ओनली 12,000 एक्टिव सोल्जर्स. बाबर हैड ओनली 12,000 एक्टिव सोल्जर्स. सो इट वाज कंप्लीटली अ मिसमैच battle or a fight. Still you will see Babar was able to win the battle, and not only he defeated Ibrahim Lodi, he also killed Ibrahim Lodi. Babar also killed Ibrahim Lodi. And you will be surprised to know that Ibrahim Lodi is the only ruler of Delhi who has been killed in a battlefield. Okay, be it a king, be it a sultan, be it a badshah, Ibrahim Lodi becomes the only ruler of Delhi in its recorded history to have been killed on a battlefield. This point we have to keep in mind. So why basically Babar was able to win, or Babar was able to get a victory over Ibrahim Lodi? ठीक, इब्राहिम लोदी के फोर्सेस 1 लाख है, बाबर के सिर्फ 12,000 माने गए थे। तो ऐसा क्या था कि बाबर ने विक्ट्री पा ली थी इब्राहिम लोदी के ऊपर? सो इट वाज ड्यू टू बाबर्स सुपीरियर मिलिट्री स्ट्रेटजी। बाबर की जो मिलिट्री स्ट्रेटजी थी वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा सुपीरियर थी। बाबर हैड मार्शल्ड हिज रिसोर्सेस वेरी वेल। वट एवर लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेस ही हैड, बाबर वॉज एबल टू मार्शल देम एक्सीलेंटली। एंड one thing which Ibrahim Lodi was not having, that was the use of Ottoman or Rumi style of artillery. Ibrahim Lodi was having artillery, but it was a traditional artillery which was heavy and non-mobile. Ibrahim Lodi के पास जो artillery या तोफ खाना था, it was heavy and non-mobile, non-moving artillery. But Babar was having, we can say, the Ottoman or Turkish style of artillery. So it is called Rumi artillery, and it was a mobile artillery. Babar was having small guns which were mobile, and by using them on a different, we can say, platform. Sometimes the guns can be carried by humans, which were called narnal. Okay. Sometimes on mounting upon the guns on elephant, you can just throw the cannons. So they were called गजनाल. जो गन्स को एलिफेंट के ऊपर बैठ के मारेंगे उसको बोलेंगे गजनाल। जो खुद ह्यूमंस कैरी करेंगे और मारेंगे उसको नरनाल कहते थे। और जो कैमल जो होता है, ठीक, ऊंट होता है, ऊंट, तो उसको पर्शियन में कहते हैं शुत्तर। उसको पर्शियन में क्या कहते हैं? शुत्तर। तो कैमल के ऊपर बैठ के अगर मारेंगे गन को तो उसको शुत्तर नाल कहते थे। तो ये मोबाइल गन की जो स्ट्रेटेजी थी उसकी वजह से बाबर को विक्ट्री मिली थी इब्राहिम लोदी के खिलाफ। एंड वंस इब्राहिम लोदी वाज किल्ड, देन बाबर अनाउंस हिमसेल्फ एज एम्परर ऑफ हिंदुस्तान। बाबर वाज क्राउन एट आगरा। जो आगरा जो अभी लोधीज का कैपिटल था, या दिल्ली सल्तनत का कैपिटल था, मेन कैपिटल। दिल्ली एक सेकेंडरी कैपिटल की तरह था, मेन कैपिटल आगरा था। तो वहाँ पे आगरा में बाबर ने खुद को क्राउन किया था एज एम्परर ऑफ हिंदुस्तान। एंड देन यू विल सी व्हाट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ दिस बैटल। व्हाट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ दिस बैटल? द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ द बैटल इज दैट द लोधी डायनेस्टी एंड द दिल्ली सल्तनत केम टू एन एंड, एंड द फर्स्ट बैटल ऑफ पानीपत laid the foundations of Mughal Empire in India, the great Mughal Empire in India, okay, which was going to rule India for the next almost 300 years or so, right, or more than 300 years. And especially the first 6 Mughal emperors, they are known as great Mughals. The first 6 Mughal emperors, they are known as great Mughals, and this tradition was started by Babar. Okay, so we have Babar, then Humayun, then the great Akbar, then we have the Jahangir, then Shah Jahan, and finally Aurangzeb. Okay? So these 6 Mughal emperors, one after another, they strengthened the whole of empire and provided peace and security or internal stability to the whole India or Hindustan. This point we have to keep in mind. So this is the significance as far as the Battle of Panipat is concerned. That is first Battle of Panipat. But that doesn't mean that Babar was immediately able to rule India. Right? After the first Battle of Panipat, there were still the problems which Babar was going to face. बाबर को और प्रॉब्लम्स को फेस करना था और चैलेंजेस रास्ते में आने वाले थे. सो एज वी सॉ, बाबर वाज इनवाइटेड to invade India by Daulat Khan Lodhi. But along with Daulat Khan Lodhi, there was one more Indian ruler who had invited Babar to invade India, and his name was Rana Sangram Singh. His name was a great Rajput warrior, Rana Sangram Singh. Rana Sangram Singh, who he is? He was a ruler of the Mewar at that time. He was a ruler of Mewar Rajput princely state, and he is a grandfather of Maharana Pratap. Rana Sangram Singh, he is a grandfather of Maharana Pratap, because everyone knows who is Maharana Pratap, जिनके बारे में भी हम आगे देखेंगे. तो ये चीज़ थी. तो एक ग्रेट राजपूत वॉरियर थे, ठीक. तो फिर भी उन्होंने एक बाहर के आदमी को, बाबर जैसे फॉरेनर को इंडिया के ऊपर अटैक करने के लिए क्यों बुलाया? सो राणा संग्राम सिंह बेसिकली he wanted that the foreign invader like Babar, he should come and fight with the Sultan Ibrahim Lodi. And when both will fight, one is going to win, one is going to lose. But the one who will win the battle, that party or that power also will get weakened. जो हारेगा वो तो मरेगा ही, लेकिन जो जीतेगा वो भी तो वीक होगा. ये बैटल में तो सबका ही लॉस होता ही है, ठीक. जीतने वाले का भी लॉस तो होता ही है, उनकी भी आर्मी मरती है, उनके भी आर्मी को इंजरीज पहुंचती है, उनके भी रिसोर्सेस आपके डिस्ट्रॉय होते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. सो जाहिर सी बात है, तो जो भी कोई जीतेगा वो भी थोड़ा वीक हो ही जाएगा. एंड देन आई विल अटैक अपॉन द पावर विच हैज़ वॉन द बैटल. तो यहाँ पे हम वही देखेंगे कि एक बार बाबर ने इब्राहिम लोदी को मार दिया. सो राणा संग्राम सिंह ही डिसाइडेड that he will now take upon Babar, because Babar must have weakened. बाबर वीक हुए होंगे तो उनको फिर से अपनी स्ट्रेंथ गेन करने का चांस नहीं देंगे. We will not allow the Babar to regain his strength, and without giving any chance and time, we will defeat the Babar, and then we can basically take, or we can basically control Delhi and Agra region by ourselves. That was a plan which Rana Sangram Singh was having. And Sangram Singh also had one more objective. He wanted to take upon Babar because he wanted to prevent another foreign invasion or a repression, ठीक, upon India. इंडिया फिर से कोई एक फॉरेन इन्वेजन या रिप्रेशन फेस ना करे, ये भी फोकस था आपके राणा संग्राम सिंह का, ठीक. तो उनका ऑब्जेक्टिव बहुत बढ़िया था. बट स्टिल यू विल सी दैट Babar again was able to gain the victory over Sangram Singh. Sangram Singh was a great warrior, and he was the biggest challenge for the Babar in India. At that time, Sangram Singh was the only ruler who can be called as a mighty ruler, and Babar was able to defeat this mighty ruler, that is Sangram Singh. Okay, and why Babar was able to win this battle again? Same tactics which were used by him in the first battle of Panipat. So again he effectively applied the Rumi or a Turkish method of warfare, Rumi guns or artillery, which were used by Ottoman Empire. उस समय जो टर्की में एम्पायर था उसका नाम था ओटोमन एम्पायर. इसी की वजह से बेसिकली बाबर फिर से जीत गए थे, क्योंकि किसी भी इंडियन पावर्स के पास इंक्लूडिंग संग्राम सिंह, नो वन हैड the answer for this Rumi or Ottoman guns. No one had an answer for this Rumi or so-called Ottoman guns. This point we have to keep in mind. Then, once Sangram Singh was destroyed, and once Babar killed him, then Babar took the title of Ghazi. संग्राम सिंह को मारने के बाद क्या है, बाबर ने गाजी का टाइटल लिया था. This point we have to keep in mind. ठीक. And then we will see, even though Sangram Singh was killed, okay, still what you will see, despite the fact that Sangram Singh was killed, still we will find there was another Rajput ruler. There was another Rajput ruler who was ready to take upon Babar. और एक राजपूत रूलर था, वो बाबर के साथ फाइट करने के लिए रेडी था. And he used to rule from Chanderi in Madhya Pradesh. He used to rule from Chanderi in Madhya Pradesh. His name was Medini Rai. His name was Medini Rai. Okay? So Babar also defeated him in 1528. In 1526, Babar defeated Ibrahim Lodi in a first battle of Panipat. In 1527, Babar defeated Rana Sangram Singh in a battle of Khanwa, and in 1528, Babar defeated Medini Rai, the ruler of Chandari, in a battle of Chandari, as we can see. Then in 1529, Babar basically fought against the Afghans of Bihar and Bengal. Those Afghans in Bihar and Bengal who were planning to take upon Babar. Babar fought with them on the banks of river Ghagra. Ghagra river के तट पर या banks के ऊपर ये battle हुआ था. The Ghagra river which flows from near Patna. So here the battle took place, and again Babar defeated them. Again we will see Babar defeated them. Okay? And after this battle, you will see the Babar was now able to bring a very large portion of North India under his control. After this last battle, you will see Babar was able to bring a very large portion of North India under his control. And then finally you will see on December 26, 1530, after the consistent warfare, both in India and his homeland Fargana, right from the age of 12 or 14, Babar was fighting. So now due to consistent warfare, the warfare took the toll of his body. Continuous war करने की वजह से उसकी बॉडी के ऊपर वो स्ट्रेस आया था, बॉडी उसकी थक चुकी थी. And Babar was not, we can say, was very old, as we can see. He was merely 50 years of age. ज़्यादा एज नहीं था उनका. But still, due to that consistent warfare, Babar ultimately died at Agra. Okay? So Babar could not visit his homeland. Babar died in India at Agra. And Babar's body was first buried or laid at one of the famous gardens in Agra, known as Aram Bagh. बाबर की बेसिकली जो बॉडी है वो शुरुआत में कहाँ लेड की गई थी या बरी की गई थी? आराम बाग. सिंस ही वाज गोइंग टू रेस्ट परमानेंटली, द गार्डन इज कॉल्ड आराम बाग. And this garden was led by the Babar himself. This garden was led by Babar himself. But Babar had a wish that since he could not visit his homeland, so Babar had a wish that when I will die, I should be buried as close as possible to the homeland. I should be buried as close as possible to the homeland. That's why you will see Babar's body was taken from Agra and it was basically buried later at Kabul. And later the Babar was buried at Kabul. At Kabul also Babar had built one famous garden known as Bagh-e-Babar. At Kabul also Babar had built one famous garden known as Bagh-e-Babar. In this Bagh-e-Babar, Babar was finally laid to rest. Finally, permanently Babar was buried at a Bagh-e-Babar in Kabul as per his own wish. Now last we will see what is the estimate of Babar. Babar किस तरीके के इंसान थे? So we will see. Despite being a great warrior and a statesman, Babar तो great warrior थे ही, and he is also said to be a great statesman. And consistently he was fighting the wars. So he had very little time for pleasure and leisurely activities. Still you will see, Babar used to read a lot. Babar was a very literate person. Babar literate person थे, बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ते थे वो. Okay? And he was a scholar of Arabic and Persian. बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ते थे, and he was a scholar of Arabic and Persian. Babar's mother tongue was Chagatai Turkey. Since Babar belonged to Turkish race, as we saw, his mother tongue was Chagatai Turkey. His mother tongue क्या थी उनकी? Chagatai Turkey. In his mother tongue or in Chagatai Turkey, Babar wrote a book. In his mother tongue, that is Chagatai Turkey, Babar wrote a book. A book in the sense his famous autobiography. Babar wrote his famous autobiography known as Tuzuk-e-Babari. In his very mother tongue, Babar wrote his famous autobiography Tuzuk-e-Babari. Okay? And in his Tuzuk-e-Babari, you will see Babar gives the details of physical features, flora and fauna of North India. Okay? Because Babar was fond of nature. बाबर को नेचर बहुत पसंद था. He used to love flora and fauna, different trees, plants, different animals, उनमें वो इंटरेस्ट लेते थे. ठीक है. And he used to observe all the physical features. So especially about North India, the North Indian plains, rivers, Himalayas, okay, and different climates in different areas. Everything has been mentioned by the Babar in detail in his autobiography, that is Tuzuk-e-Babari. Okay? Later this Tuzuk-e-Babari was translated into Persian language. Later his autobiography, that is Tuzuk-e-Babari, it was translated into Persian language by a famous poet, whose name is Abdul Rahim Khan-e-Khanan. By a famous poet whose name is Abdul Rahim Khan-e-Khanan. And this famous poet basically was under Akbar. Abdul Rahim Khan-e-Khanan, he was in the court of Akbar. So this crucial point we have to keep in mind. And then you will see, as we saw, Babar was first buried at Arambagh after his death. Then he was taken to Kabul and buried at Bagh-e-Babar. So Babar himself, being fond of nature, in the love with nature, he also used to like gardens. Babar was also in love with gardens. He had a very keen aesthetic sense. Babar had a very keen aesthetic sense about nature, and that's why he introduced a concept of beautiful gardens known as Mughal gardens in India. And these gardens were led in a special technique known as Char Bagh technique. These gardens were led in India in a special technique known as Char Bagh technique. And Char Bagh technique में क्या होता है? That garden will be in a square shape. Okay, it will be divided into 4 equal squares. All squares will meet at a center, at an intersection point, and a beautiful water fountain will basically flow as far as the center is concerned. And today also some of the Babar's gardens are still existing, like as we can see Arambagh in Agra, Bagh-e-Babar in Kabul, but especially the Nishad Bagh of the Kashmir on the banks of Dal Lake, where so many of the Bollywood movies have been shot. बहुत सारी बॉलीवुड मूवीज का शूटिंग जहाँ पे होता है निशाद बाग, that was beautifully led by Babar, which is still existing. And finally we can see, जैसे बाबर को इंटरेस्ट था स्कॉलरली एक्टिविटीज में, ठीक है, लिटरेचर एंड पोएट्री, ऑल द थिंग्स बाबर वाज इंटरेस्टेड. Similarly, Babar was also interested in painting. And you will find there were 2 Persian painters who became famous under Babar. 2 पर्शियन पेंटर्स थे जो बाबर के अंडर बहुत फेमस हुए थे. फर्स्ट इज बिहजाद. पहले का नाम क्या है? बिहजाद. एंड सेकंड इज परवेज. द सेकंड वन इज परवेज. ठीक, फर्स्ट इज बिहजाद एंड सेकंड वन इज परवेज. So in that fashion you will see Babar was a brilliant personality, a great warrior, a great statesman, a very liberal person, and then the person who was interested in art, gardens, and other kind of cultural activities. Such a person basically ultimately laid the foundation of a great empire, and his great successors continued to strengthen the empire and give a flourishing strength to India, as well as they basically increase or enhance the glory of India. So that we will see in our next classes. So today for this class, Babar we have seen, and definitely I am sure, just like Sher Shah Suri, you must have enjoyed about Babar also. Okay? And from exam perspective, all important details I have mentioned. Okay? And definitely you will be able to recollect and understand the things in a very easy way. So on this note, I would like to end this session. Okay? Again we will meet in a further sessions. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.